Wait. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining. Welcome to OrderEase office hours today. This is our session 3. I'm Nurai from OrderEase team, and I'm really glad that you are all here. We will give it a few seconds before we start for everyone to join. Meanwhile, please feel free to drop any questions in the chat that as we go, and we will get back to you with answers. And with that, Kyle, it's yours now. Please take it away.
Nora, I really appreciate it. So welcome everybody. I'm Kyle. Thanks for joining. This is session number 3 of OrderEase office hours, and today it's all about managing your products, pricing, and inventory. So we do have a lot to cover today regarding product setup, pricing, tiers and lists, assemblies, families, flags, promotions, bulk actions, everything to do necessarily with your product management. So I'll run through all of it at first. We'll definitely leave some time at the end for some questions. So definitely keep your list handy, and we'll dive right in. So let's go ahead and begin. So in our previous sessions, we did have a look at the dashboard, the home page, sort of your command center. In session 2, we were discussing customer management, rep management, everything to do with the customer side. And today we'll be diving into more of the product section. And bear with me as my demo account here loads up for us. So very simply put, OrderEase is a centralized system to help you consolidate and manage all of your products, price lists, everything in a single source. Now, the big benefit in terms of how we access the data and the best path forward when it comes to product management is we're of course integrated with your backend systems, be that the financials, the accounting, the ERP system being, I would say, the most core. And like we talked about with customer syncs and rep allocations and everything, is that once we're integrated with the ERP system, we're able to actually synchronize all your products, your different price lists, promotions, assets and descriptions, even imagery, if that's found inside of your ERP system that supports it. So what it allows you to do at its core is maintain your source of truth. What I love and recommend to all my clients I've been working with, whether you're small mom and pop startup companies to the billion-dollar enterprise businesses that I've had been fortunate enough to do to work with, is that they get to maintain all of that data in their source of truth. And OrderEase is simply a mere reflection of the data, of the changes, which allows you and your staff to keep updating things as they normally would. And you have some assurances that, the OrderEase platform is up to date. And therefore, when OrderEase is plugged into maybe your different channels, whether it be a Shopify, a WooCommerce, an Amazon, a Wayfair, so long as those channels can receive the data, which most of them can, it keeps all that information up to date based on the actions that you're already taking inside of your ERP system. So short and sweet, you do the job once, every one of your channels is updated. And especially if you're using OrderEase for a dedicated B2B customer portal, or if the rep ordering tools, keeps all of that up to date with that single action that you're necessarily already doing. So for today, we're going to, like I said, be diving into products. And as you see in front of you right here, this is the products tab of OrderEase with all the products that have been brought up from the ERP system. And what I'm fully aware of is that you're going to have some very light, maybe not as robust backend systems. I think of the QuickBooks Onlines of the world versus maybe the NetSuites or the SAPs, or kind of the nice mid-tier to upper echelon systems, is that if there's any gaps that potentially you might see, like in QuickBooks, hey, it's sometimes difficult to manage multiple price lists without adding additional duplicate SKUs, or running promotions, or actually having guidelines or freight minimums, or all those types of things. OrderEase can fill the gaps of those light ERP or backend systems. So because maybe you're not necessarily ready to jump to the NetSuite just yet, you can leverage QuickBooks. OrderEase can come in, synchronize all the core data, but fill in all the gaps, like, hey, we can now do images, we can do multiple price lists, we can do customer groupings, we can do order minimums, we can run time promotions, we can run private label items. So it's a very strong system, especially if you're a QuickBooks or a Lite user, but gets very powerful if you're on a very robust system like NetSuite, where we can just synchronize more data and keep you in that source of truth. So with OrderEase, as you see here on the products tab, it's all the items that were synced up. We've of course got different, headers at the top here from, organizing your descriptions. We've obviously got the SKU labeled. We can see what category that product is necessarily into. So is it in our tool category? Is it in our glove category? Is it in our perennials category or subcategory? If you've got a, let's say in the floral industry, a subclass of perennial, either Latin or common name. So just what category should that product be organized as? We have different catalogs in OrderEase, which I'll be diving into a bit later on in one of the sections here. Because in OrderEase, you can actually create what we call catalogs. Think of them in the most simplistic and holistic sense. They're lists of product. Because maybe you offer a list of product to customer A, and there's a slightly different list of product that you offer to customer B. I think of situations like, Roundup. Um, Due to legislation, government, whatever, you might not be able to sell the Roundup chemicals on the West Coast, but you can sell on the East Coast. So maybe you've got a list of product that's for the East Coast customers that has certain products and a West Coast list that has others. You can have as many as you want inside of OrderEase. So it does give you that flexibility to take your products, curate them into catalogs or lists, and point those lists to the general customer base for B2B, or subsegments that they should have their own very personalized experience with what they should be ordering and maybe not seeing at certain times. We've obviously got the sales channel header because, again, we're a hub and spoke model, helping suppliers become centralized with omni-channel sales. So you can actually see, hey, it's available through the B2B portal. It's connected through Shopify. It's got the Amazon logo, so we know we're pushing that to Amazon, Wayfair, so forth and so forth. Even feature levels. Hey, we want to tag some products as top sellers. We want to put them as hot buys, end of line, clearance item, even online exclusives. You can tag them and then sort them by the tags even right here before even clicking on an item. And even status, is it available? Is it not available? Just some different statuses that you can do. We've of course got the search functionality. So if you want to search by a partial SKU, you want to search by a certain criteria in the descriptor, you can type it in and the system will go through your list of product to find exactly what you're looking for. Outside of that, you could clear your filters. You can export your list of product as well if you want to do a bit of an audit or internal versus external audit or look at the data holistically. You can do multiple exports, and there's even things of bulk actions. So, if you wanted to adjust some products, yeah, I want to take all this category and flag them as our top sellers, or I want to take this and flag them all as the hot buy for this month. You don't have to go through each individual product to do that by clicking details, changing the tag, saving, move on to the next one. Through OrderEase, you could filter through the list, find the category or the certain criteria you're looking for. And then through the checkbox, you can, say, select all this filtered list that I've, out of the 5,000 products, here's the 30 that I want to tag with this certain tag. You can filter through to isolate those 30 and then say, select all, and then do a bulk action as well. All different types of bulk actions that you can do about, a batch download, things relating to the e-commerce side of things if you're connected out to different channels, and even just the general bulk editor that also allows you to say, hey, I picked these 30 items all in one shot. I want to flag them all as top sellers, save it, the job is done. So multiple ways that you can kind of adjust product en masse, individually, whatever makes your life a little bit easier. But what I will do for the purpose of office hours is get a little bit granular. And what we'll do is we're actually going to click on a particular product. I'm going to go into potentially maybe one of the gloves. We'll pick one of these here. And let's just go in and hit details. So once you hit details, what it's going to do is it's going to bring up the product modal. And this is all the very granular specifics about a particular product that you're wanting to adjust, review, add to, take things away from, whatever it might be. So as I click on the product, again, you'll have the full product name. I know that when we're bringing up a ton of data from the ERP system, a lot of the times I've seen 80%, 90% of the time, a good percentage, it's not data that's front facing. it's abbreviated. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It doesn't enhance the search criteria when you're trying to put BLK as black, let's say, or VNY as vinyl, BMB for bamboo, whatever it might be. This also allows you to come in as we sync the core data now through various exports or imports or adjustments, either individually or on batches. We can now make it and polish it up so it's a much more robust and I'd say friendlier front-facing experience, whether it's for a customer accessing the B2B portal, whether it's a sales rep or inside sales placing orders on behalf of customers, or simply put, the data that we're going to share to your Shopify, the data that we're going to share to your Amazon, it needs to be non-abbreviated, it needs to be robust, and this allows you to do it in a centralized area. And like I said, share it outwards with the channels that you do business with. So as we go through the system out of the box, completely bilingual, English, French, so you're able to actually have all that information in both languages. You have the full product name. You can do the full size descriptions, even cross mappings on codes. I think of a distributor. Hey, we offer a widget, and it's in our world as a distributor, it's item code ABC. However, I buy it from our widget manufacturer, and from them they call that a 123. There's a lot of different cross mapping at the product level you can do, whether it's tied into your own vendor base, whether it's tied to your customers, where maybe they've got their own SKUs. I think of franchised or banner accounts out here in Canada. You think of like Home Hardware, or in the States, you think of maybe Ace Hardware or the Do It Bests or whatever it might be. They might, at the store level, they might also have their own codes for that group for that product. In OrderEase, you can do even that seamless cross mapping between 3 entities, which is really cool. So everyone can work with their own codes. Things like the UPCs, very handy, universal, also ties into our mobile app, which is free for buyers, for sales reps, for suppliers. Very important to have the UPC because a big use case is that the reps, go into the store. Historically, I was a category manager at an independent just outside of Toronto, Canada, ski and bikes. But I used to sit in a back office. There was papers everywhere. I'd have a tome that was, a mile thick of, a distributor's catalog. We'd have Excel sheets and order forms and fill it out. What really would have been cool is if my rep would walk with me through my store, visualize what I have on the store floor in my back for overstock, pull out the phone, literally scan a barcode on the sticker, and it would tell us how many of these gloves or skis or bikes were in inventory with my supplier or distributor, what my price was, if promotions were running, and some education. And I could literally walk the floor, scan an item, add it to my order, and continue walking around and have some visual approach to it. So why it's very handy to have the UPCs, especially for any compliance or again, for any rep or customer experience with that mobile app. The Amazon ASIN numbers, you can flag country of origin where the product is coming from. We have brand tags, again, for distributors or maybe companies that offer different subsidiaries with different products that they're centralizing and their brands through a centralized OrderEase account. We can tag it, and even things like assemblies, which we'll talk about a little bit later. One of the really cool functions that we'll hear, especially if you're working in most industries or omni-channel, but especially building materials, is pack and case sizes, or for a better lack of terminology, units of measure. You might offer that product in 5 different ways. Historically, some suppliers offer 5 different SKUs. We can work with that. If that's the way it's done, completely fine. But there is some suppliers that say, oh, you know what? I wish we could have a centralized code, but we could just offer it in different ways to the different people we work with. You can totally do that. So with units of measure, we can take a core SKU and break it down into the different ways you sell it. Hey, on Shopify, I sell an individual glove, as an each. To a B2B customer, a brick and mortar garden center, I sell this as a case of 6. To a distributor, we offer this as a pallet of 150, whatever it might be, or a bag of 3, all these different units of measure. So we can incorporate that, fall back on a standardized SKU, and then we're able to actually, do the math and the calculations as orders come in to make sure that they're all translating between the sources of truth, your back end, and correspondence back to the channel as it should be with the correct unit of measure, which is really cool. We do have full descriptions. So again, this is that robustness. Hey, pulling up the bare bone data from the ERP inside OrderEase, maybe you got a story about a product. We do a lot of business in the beverage alcohol space. There's always a story about a seasonal beverage. From times at the cottage or my time at the lake, growing up, we've developed this, particular alcoholic beverage, spirit or beer, has these notes, it pairs with this. If you have a story or just some longer education about your product, it's where the long description comes into play. Handy for the reps in the field, handy for the buyers that are exploring new product, but also handy if I'm going to be syncing this product data to an external channel like a Shopify, a WooCommerce. Having that good, robust data, descriptions, stories, everything that can be synchronized up to the channel as well. You'll also notice things over here, which is your product features. You could have as many as you want inside of OrderEase. And I know in the bit of the demonstration here, things like feature 1, 2, feature 3, and feature 4, they don't necessarily have to say that. You could have feature 1 as brand, feature 2, color, size, material, pairs with, alcohol beverage, chicken and pasta. You could have it whatever you want it to be with as many as you want. And I've trained so many different operations teams and sales teams in my over a decade here at OrderEase. What I always recommend is, when I ask them, is what are the common questions that you're getting? What do you have in black vinyl? What do you have in a 9-volt such and such from DeWalt or whatever it might be? Make those into tags, because with 1 to 2 clicks, instead of calling in or answering the same questions all day, you could have it as a filter in the ordering experience. And what that will do is allow your reps or customers with 1 or 2 clicks to say, show me material, vinyl, color, black. 2 clicks, there's every black vinyl product that you offer. You can decide though, out of, let's say you had 6 feature tags, I want 2 of them to be filters and the rest just there for education. You can set that when you set up your tag. Pick these 2 to show up as filters in the ordering screen, which I'm sure potentially as we go through ordering experiences in a future session, or as we go through sort of our next office hours, could totally bridge that in as a ordering experience, and then taking out everything we've seen in our past 3 and wrapping that up to the actual experience. But what I'm getting at is, you can have as many as you want. I always recommend to start thinking about those initial questions or those repeat questions that you're always being asked. I think of a rep in the field. Make those tags. Make it really easy for that rep for 1 click to 2 clicks to find what they want, or even a buyer. What you'll also see here is the media tab. Give as many images as you want. So multiple ways that we can get the images into the system. We could potentially pull them directly from the ERP. We can pull them directly from a URL where that image is hosted. So as you maintain that image URL and change it, it'll automatically update. Or in the most simple sense, you can take all your images, label them by your UPC or potentially and preferably your actual product code, put them in a zip folder, import them in, boom, 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 boom. They all get assigned. You just need to decide, what's the primary image? What's the first one that we want to show up? You pick it. That's the first one. But your customers, your reps, your channels, so long as it can also receive multiple images through the APIs or whatever it might be, is that now you've got your repository of imagery. They can flip through it. It's accessible in a centralized source. As we get to assignments, now again, this is now where we can start flagging products. So think of the tags that we talked about as separate. Now we can actually flag a product in a certain way or do some other real cool creative things. Things like the feature level. This is where I alluded to. Do we want to flag it as a top seller? That becomes a filter in the ordering screen through our portal. If you're adopting to use one of our services being the portal. Is it a new product? Is it the feature of the month for Easter, for Ramadan, for whatever that situation might be? Hot buy, clearance, limited quantity, even online exclusives. I've seen some certain suppliers get very creative to drive adoption to say, listen, you can get these 5 colors. If you want to get the 6th colorway, which is our special edition one, it's an online exclusive. Got to use the portal. It's only available through there. So different ways that we can get super creative to even drive some further adoption, and they feel like they're getting something out of it as the buyer as well on their experience. The category or subcategory, like I said, that this product is going to fall into, especially handy for syncing data to categories and external channels, or again, through the native OrderEase B2B portal. What category should that product be in? Linked products. Pretty cool feature. You think of it in, let's say, the lumber and building material industry, just off the top of my head. If you order so much of this decking, let's say linear feet, whatever the unit of measure might be, square footage, if you buy so much, or if just buy this product, you can link the screws. Hey, you bought all this decking. Do you want the screws? to go with it, you can give them somewhat of a recommendation. But you could take it to the next level. What if it's something that the buyer doesn't have a choice over, which I've seen, let's say, in palletized orders? Hey, I ordered 150 cases. It gets shipped on a pallet. But you know what? There's $25 pallet deposit, which is a non-negotiable. You have to pay for it. It could be reimbursed once the pallet gets picked up, but it tells the buyer, hey, you just ordered the full palletized load. There is a $25 palletized fee that goes along with it, which is reimbursable, but it tacks it onto their order. It notifies them as they're adding it, and it becomes a separate line item as well for visibility as well. And again, we can pick just like some of the scenarios that I was seeing. And then deciding the pricing. Is it a free add-on? Is it an addition? Is there a separate cost? Is it a user's choice? Yes or no? All these different ways that we can sort of slice and dice that. One of the other things here is the catalog, the list of product. Is this product in that catalog? And like I said, there could be multiple catalogs that you offer, and you maybe don't want, and you point those products or catalogs to certain channels or to certain buyers or groups of buyers. You'll decide, is this product in that list? And is that list offered to that particular customer or customer group? So again, what you'll really pick up on with OrderEase is it is so configurable. There's a fine line between customizable and configurable. And what I would highly say is OrderEase has such a high level of configuration, purpose built for the B2B industry, where maybe you're trying to jerry rig a Shopify retail experience with 100 modules, and you're like, it's kind of working. We're purpose built to handle these types of complexities for B2B. And last but not least, at least on the assignments tab, is the family of products. So you think of, I'll make it very relatable. There's a Nike product, a sweatshirt, a pair of sneakers, just very general. That pair of sneakers, it's a certain design. It's an Air Force One, it's an Air Max 90, whatever whatever it is. That shoe comes in 12 different colorways. It's the same shoe, but it comes in 12 colors. Broken out from those colors, it comes in a multitude of sizes. They're all the same product, but they're variants of that product. So in our world, we think of that as a variant or a family. So with the family, what you can do in one instance, take all those products, you can group them together into a family, and then also present that family outwards to your buyer, either as drop downs. You can actually have almost like a matrix, which was really cool. So you can actually build a family order. I want 5 medium, like think of sweatshirts as well, or apparel. I want 5 medium black. I want 12 large blue. That can all be ordered in one screen. It would depict if there's any price variables between the sizes or colors. It would tell you the specific inventory counts between them all in one view, and you can order a master order for that family in one shot without having to click on or go through like 12 different line items at once, which is really cool. It does a multitude of other things. The other most common one, without spending 30 minutes on families, is discount structures. Hey, we have a category, buckets, gloves. If they order 12 cases of any size, of anything within that family, they'll get a discount. That's a great piece of the family structure as well. And it can even be not just of the same line item. It could be like through the category. If you get 2 of these and 5 of those and a couple of these, as long as you hit that minimum, or even tiered pricing, order 1, order 6 cases, 12, 18, 24, and above, you can mix and match and still get the discount structures as you're adding more and more between this family that we've grouped, which is really cool. So 2 common instances. It's used for a multitude of different things. Those are the 2 common ones I've seen. Taking products, bridging them together as a family just for ease of ordering, or, hey, we offer discounts on mix and matches through different categories or certain products if you add them together. That's the other most popular one that I've seen. When it comes to pricing, we're looking at pricing specific at the product level. Always typically funneled up or directly from the ERP system. But like I said, if you're on something light, you can create price lists, promotional lists, discount tiers and structures, all within OrderEase. And from here, this is where I can see it for this particular product. Normal wholesale is $4.95. We recommend the standard MSRP being $10.95. We can do map pricing. We can lock net pricing in, so no discounts apply. But typically below, this is where you'll see all the different types of price lists or structures that are wrapped around this product. So we have a list for 20% off all gloves. If anyone's in that price list, they're going to be seeing this glove standard at $396 versus the average B2B buyer comes in They could even be accessing the same list of product as that other customer. But because those customers are tied to two different price structures, we know who to show what price to, even if they're looking at the same product or the same list of product or catalog. And another good example below is the tier discounts. Order 1, it's $4.95. Order 6, it's $4.46, 12, 18, and so on. And as your buyer orders more and more of that product, they'll actually get a little check mark next to the price tier as they look at a product to see, oh, we're moving along, through the different tiers. Even discount structures. So if you're not doing it by, let's say, the line item, it's more so like, hey, order $1,000, save 10%. That's a very easy discount tier that we can apply more at the order level versus the actual product level. And we'll get a little bit into just to show you a couple visuals, but this is a good place to kind of get a sense of it. At the product level, we've also got inventory. So we can handle a global inventory count through a centralized warehouse, or we can handle multiple inventory locations. We can pull that data up from, let's say, your source of truth being the ERP, but we also integrate with multiple warehouses. So if you've got multiple 3PLs, hey, we got one in Canada, one in the States. We got one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast of the US, and one in Central, and one in Canada. You can have all your different warehouse locations. If we're actually integrated, we can funnel those inventories up, present them to the buyer for the warehouses that they're supposed to be allocated to, and then we can do some pretty cool workflow rules about defaulting back orders to, defaulting orders, to certain warehouses that maybe can do the fulfillment as a whole versus, the ones that they're allocated to. It just comes down to your workflow, to the rules, and like I said, this high level of configurability to give you the best experience. But more importantly, not that we don't want to give you a good experience, the customer and the reps, people in the field actively selling and buying. We've got the properties, won't go too far in the weeds, but as you see here, we can enforce order minimums, we can enforce order maximums, we can even set up private label items. So if you've got a list of certain items that are part of your standard offering, included in your normal offering, but you're very much thinking, hey, I don't want this other grouping of customers to see these 10 products that we've branded for another group, you can set them up in OrderEase, flag them as private label, and point them to a group of buyers. You have buyers, put them in a group in OrderEase, flag those private label items to that group. Any member of that group that logs in will see your standard items you offer them, plus the private label. Whereas another group logs in, they might just see the standard list. They have no idea those private label items or white label items even exist. So again, it makes it very simple. And even all the product dimensions and weights and whatnot, if we can fill in that data, the units of measure, the pack heights, widths, lengths, products, dimensions, and everything, it makes it really easy to then translate that data over to something like shipment and fulfillment systems, 3PLs, ship stations, freight views, freight comms, whatever it might be. So we're setting you up for success to even help you automate your shipping, packing, fulfillment side of things, integrating those systems in and leveraging the data that's already here. Under sales channels, again, you can easily deactivate a product. If you deactivate in the ERP, that typically translates up here. Again, you'll start picking up about how leveraging that source of truth and maintaining it, which is where I want you and your staff to live 99% of the time in most cases, will reflect here on OrderEase. Again, do the job once and it's done. Flagging items that you offer for drop shipping. You can connect your e-commerce channels through here, setting up a couple basic rules. And even, if you offer it for drop ship, there's some extra details on this on the buying side when they come in and look at a product and go to sales channels where they can actually, if you're a supplier that offers a drop ship program like many of ours do, or endless aisle, from the buyer's experience on their side, they don't have all this extra menus and this type of granularity because, again, this is more on the supplier side. But they do have a sales channel option where they can link products to their own Shopify's or their own WooCommerce's. They can actually pull your product data, your inventory, your images, your descriptions right up to their Shopify, and it's flagged as a drop ship. And all they simply have to do is say, what's the price that I, as a buyer, want to offer on my Shopify? And if they get orders on their Shopify, they can flow through OrderEase, land to you as a supplier as a dropship order, and it says you got an order from Kyle's hardware store, but it's a dropship order. Here's the dropship information for the actual consumer. So me as a buyer, I don't even have to carry that product. I could offer it because maybe I'm limited by the space I have on my store floor. I can only carry 50 of your SKUs, but I want to offer all 300 of them. I could link all the others that you say are available for dropship, offer them on my Shopify or my WooCommerce, and now I've got an endless aisle where you're just doing the fulfillment for me. And then as you as a supplier, you're getting some good data. You're figuring out what products are moving for dropship from that store that's not at their physical location. And you've got some really good sales data to now go to that store and say, hey, you should probably be carrying this product in store. Look at how much is moving through your dropship program. We should really get this in store. Everybody's winning from that situation. Now, again, maybe that's a future office hours on the buying experience, or a future office hours on endless aisle for retail drop shipping and what it means to a supplier. But a lot of cool things that we can do even on the sales channel side between both parties. There's some history that you can see just about product data moving through, just what's being ordered at what pricing, just some history on orders and where this product is living. And we've even got things like the customers tab. From this particular tab, what's really cool and really applies to distribution and EDI trading partners. You might do business with Costco, and Costco again calls your product a 1, 2, 3 in their world when you register your SKU with them, but in your world you call it an ABC. If OrderEase is your order management component and we're assisting you with EDI workflow and automating your EDI orders versus having to log into all these different portals and all the manual work is left to you and your staff, is that we can just cross map the codes. You call it such and such in your backend system, but Costco calls it this, and Walmart calls it that, and so calls it this. So when we get orders from those channels, OrderEase will automatically translate it for you to your language. It's like speaking English and Spanish. You're speaking the same, you're trying to communicate, you're saying the same thing, you're just talking different languages. So when Costco sends you an order in their language, it'll translate it to your language. And when you take actions and we do the automated correspondence back to your trading partners with basically no manual intervention, it translates back to their language. So from here, this is where you can kind of at least cross map the codes between your distributors, certain buyers, EDI especially, can all be done here. And we do have an analytics side of OrderEase also. I would definitely save that as a future office hours. It would be its whole own kind of ecosystem, but we do have a full-fledged analytics system tied to it, so you can get really granular product sales data if you maybe don't have an analytics system in place. So outside of that, went through a bit more of the granularity at the product level. But what you'll notice as well is at the bottom here, my little terminology I say is the hamburger menu. You probably saw it on the customers tab as well when we did last office hours. So from here, as you see, we've got all the different options to manage your products and all various things tied to products. So things like the image uploads, I alluded to that you can zip your images into a zip folder, label your images by your product code, import them in, that is exactly where you can go in, upload the images. You can even pull a report out that tells you, hey, we've got 1,000 SKUs, you've got so many that have images, show me the report with images that we're missing still. And you can pull a report out to see where the gaps are, do another import to fill the gaps. You can certainly add a product on the fly. Hey, I want to just do a quick one-off ad. Technically speaking, you add it to your ERP system, you hit the sync now, the new products come up. But we give options because we do have some suppliers that what we call self-managing. For whatever reason, they didn't want to integrate with their ERP system. We have certain projects that are, maybe more educational based. They need a portal just for education, not orders. Seen it all. We do give you the ability to add a product on the fly, then go in and do the configuration. So it's almost like a quick add, I guess you could say. Things like assembly products. So I'd say it's a function that's come about in the last 8 months or so, but common in a lot of the B2B businesses. With assembly products, is again, it would be taking through a whole process of building it. But with assemblies, what it simply means is, hey, we have sort of like a master product. But that master product comes with components or sub-products. And I'm just thinking maybe off the cuff here, we sell a patio set. It comes with a table, an umbrella, a couple chairs, and a little couch to sit outside. You can buy it as a set, an assembly potentially, at a certain product code, the master code, right, with a certain price point. But what we can do is we can also build it through the assembly. So that way, when they order that product, it actually adds in sub-products into their cart and can even tell them what the pricing is on the sub-product that gets them to maybe the master the master price. So, hey, I can see the umbrella, I can see the table, I can see that there's 4 chairs that were added, and you can actually take it that next level to see, well, what am I paying for the components as well? It can be used in a multitude, more of manufacturing as well, where there's assembly components into a master good. But just off the cuff, that would be an example of built-in assemblies. We have a master product that's built on components. It can kind of be as simple as that. Product families, again, this is where we can go actually in. You can even build up your different families of product. As we see here, there's quite a few. And a lot of this is to either build that, view where you can have the drop down with all the products, or the matrix view, or like I said, you can build these families to delegate discount structures. Can even be done with minimums. A really good example, I sell these gardening buckets, and I sell them in a bunch of sizes, but you know what? I need them to order a minimum of 6, because a 6 is we sell them by the case. Like, you have to order them by a case of 6. However, we allow our reps or our buyers to build their case. So as long as they're maybe getting 6 of those items, they can pick whatever colors they want, because they could buy them in units or eaches. But as long as they say, I want 1 bucket in blue, 1 in the anchor design, 1 in a camo and a black, and whatever it is, and I get to 6, it then notifies them that they've met their case minimum, and they have to order in increments of 6 for that product type. So again, highly configurable, allowing you to mix and match, even build a case if they're saying, well, I don't want to order 6 black, I want to get 2 black, 2 this, and 2 that. You can build it through the families. Let's take a little back step here. We have things like pricing levels. Again, this is where you can go in and start navigating all of your different price lists. You can have assurances of when they were created or implemented. Now, again, I'm going to say this a couple times. Best case is that we're just pulling these pricing tiers and discounts right from the ERP system. But like I alluded to, there's a lot of sort of very linear introductory ERP systems out there where maybe you can't do all the things that you want. And like I said, you're not ready to jump to the NetSuites or the whatnots of the world. Here, this is where you can have all your different price lists. You can flag them as, it's a standard list that we give this group of buyers, and here's the other price list we give the other group of buyers. Or we have a buying group of 50 stores, and they get their own contracted price point. And we have Costco's price and Walmart's price and all these different price lists. You can flag them as it's standard, so the standard list that they would follow. You can flag price lists as on special, with even start and end dates. It starts today or first thing of July, it ends at the end of the month, it runs for the month. And when this end date hits, as we see here, we can even see the starts and the end dates. That discount tier ends and everything reverts back to standard pricing that the customer would normally see. So kind of cool. You can just set it and forget it. Run your promos. I've seen suppliers set like a 3-month lead time on promotions. Here's our June, July, and August summer promos. We've set them up in advance, start and end dates. We've pointed them to the certain customers that should receive them, and they don't even have to think about coming back and turning them off. Everything reverts back to standard pricing or standard discount structures after the promo is done. Things like drop shipping, retail, and retail sale, because we do offer a lot of drop ship services. It's actually that service has absolutely exploded in the lawn and garden space with horticulture and lawn and garden hard goods, where we can even set up drop ship price lists from suppliers that they offer their customer base. It alludes to that thing I said a couple moments ago, where a retailer can actually integrate their Shopify or WooCommerce into your OrderEase account as a supplier. You can implement a dropship price list. That's the price list that they're going to see for the dropship program catalog that you've implemented, that they can then pull from. And that price that you've given them all in for dropship, that's what they're going to work on in terms of, I'm going to put a 20% markup on the dropship price point, because that's the price that will show up on their Shopify that their consumer will see. So lots of ways that we can implement this, lots of different types that we can, pricing types or tiers or structures that can be done. And even with a lot of our most basic setups, you can have as many as you want. So that's kind of the beauty of OrderEase is, you're not limited by the number of staff members or the number of customers in the portal or number of products you can have or price lists you're allowed to implement, which I've noticed with a lot of other providers. Hey, you get 2 price lists, you can have 50 customers, 2 licenses and seats. And if you want more on anything, you're going to pay more. With OrderEase is different, is we're really just a subscription based on what actual sales volume or orders are you doing through the system. And you'll pay for the relative to size, not pay for things like bring in an agency group on and you need 5 extra seats, things of that nature. I don't want to go too far in the weeds on it, but just to show you, like, you can really have at it, encompass your business, and there's no really gotchas going, nope, you got to pay more if you want another price list, things of that nature. Take a bit of a back step here, see what next. Discount tiers, very much in tandem. Don't have a demo one set up here, but different than price lists. It's just discount structures. Hey, if you order 5,000 during your pre-booking program or pre-booking catalog we've set up, or seasonal booking, you'll receive a 10% discount. Hey, if you order so many shipping units, you just think of a shipping unit as maybe it's a pallet. Hey, if you get 12 pallets, a pallet is a shipping unit that we flag behind the scenes. You'll get a certain discount structure for getting to your half truck or full truck load or something along those lines. So there's lots of things that we can do, but very much in tandem with the price list. Just more, I'd say, a level above price lists, because price lists are very much at the product level. Discount tiers in a lot of instances are at sort of the order level or other nuances as well. Standard pricing, it's just the standard price list that's pulled up. It's that initial price point of typically where things are starting. And what we do have, which we'll go through in a second here, is the imports. So just like when we looked at office hours session 2 with all the different types of imports at a customer level, you can do a lot of different imports that are more encompassing at the product level. So of course, again, I'll go through them at a high level because there's a lot of data and a lot of nuances here to encompass the complexities of B2B. But things like a product import. Hey, we've synchronized up all the core data from the ERP. I don't want to go through one by one to add the descriptors and adding the tags and adding all the levels of depth and detail. We can do imports as well. So if you want to put it into an Excel sheet, all in one shot, update all your products, you can do it. You can even download a sample file that brings out what the template looks like, gives you, verbiage on what the headers mean, which ones are required, which ones are optional or recommended, things of that nature that you can do. Even if you have your own export from your system and those headings don't necessarily line up with OrderEase's headings, don't need to worry. There is a mapping tool when you do your import. So you can literally say, if you, in your system, if you call it product number, and in OrderEase it's called product code, you just say map those two together and off you go. So you can even just do your own mapping. So you don't have to rework and maybe something that's pulled out of your system that has everything. You can just map it. Other things like the product features, we talked about, feature 1 through 4, brand, color, size, material. You can actually build those into a spreadsheet. If they're not native in the ERP, again, you can import them in one shot, assign them all. And you can even decide, is it shown as a filter or do we hide them from the customer? Maybe it's something there that's more rep facing. You don't want the customer to see it. So again, you can flag those all right through the product features. You can do a product code update. Hey, we've done a big SKU change. I want to make sure that I can take our original code, flip it to the new code. It's 2 headers. Pump it in. Everything updates to the new SKU terminology. Like we said with product images, this is more so not through the zip folder, but through the URL. Hey, here's my code. Here's the URL where the image is hosted, typically ending with the URLs like .jpeg or .png or something like that. You can just take the code, take the URL, say, is it going to be the primary or not, import it in. Now we're leveraging that hosted image as your product image. Family of product, like I alluded to a couple moments ago with the granularity and what families can do. You don't have to do them manually. Again, we can do them through an import. And you'll start noticing that even some of the intricate things of OrderEase, you can do them just through imports as well, like the families. We have a standard inventory import. So if we're actually not pulling inventory from sources of truth, ERP systems, SOS inventory, let's say hypothetically, if it's a QuickBooks module you've added on, or NetSuite, or even your external warehouses or third-party warehouses that we're integrated with, you can do an inventory import, and you can do it not just as a global level, you can actually do individual inventory imports for the warehouses. Or maybe you've got different catalogs of product where you want to present different inventories. You can do that through an import and say, this list of products should have this inventory count, and that list of products should have that inventory count. Multitude of ways that we can do that with a multitude of different use cases. Credit note reason assignments, again, we do have a credit note functionality. I'll save that probably for another office hours. It'd be a much shorter one, but we do offer some automated credit note and matching functionality. So you can start setting up all your different credit note reasons. Let's say if a buyer requests a credit note or for approval, or a rep wants to submit one for approval, you can pre-populate all the applicable reasons. It has to be one of those reasons if we're even going to look at a credit note. If it does not, it's not applicable. So we can set those up through imports. Customer product data, things like those different code cross matches that we want to do. What's your code to your customer's product code? I think of Home Hardware, franchised, independently owned hardware stores here in Canada, maybe like Ace in the States, or other groups of buyers and franchise businesses. At the store level, they might have their own code. So you've got like a store level code, you've got a distributor's level code, you got a supplier or manufacturer's level code. We can even cross map, like I said, to the store level codes. So those stores can even order with their own codes that cross match to your codes, that backsync to the manufacturer's codes. So you can see that level, that chain of connectivity at the product SKU level even. Things like building assemblies. Again, we can build those assemblies through an import, like I alluded to, the parent product code, the component codes, units of measures, so forth and so forth. Even things like hiding included products, and a whole bunch of others like bulk unit of measures, product unit of measures. So if you want to, import the different ways that you sell it, eaches, cases, pallets, bags, can all be done. And just, some logs as well that we have here. If you want to look at your import logs, hey, what are the imports that are going on in the system? What were they? When did they happen? How big were those files? How many things got updated? Who did it? You have all the logs as well to see what's being imported into the system at any given time. So lots of imports, so be it if you're using it to add depth to product, or actually if you're a self-managed client of OrderEase. Again, we're not going to hold your hand saying, no, you can't do that. Like for almost everything, you can do it and adjust things through imports as well, if we're not leveraging it automatically from the source of truth. Customer product data, again, just synchronizing some customer product data or matching data. Inventory lists. This is, again, if you have different inventory counts for different offerings or different warehouses, this is where we can have your different lists for inventory being synchronized in, fed to different product catalogs. As I alluded to in the inventory tab, it's just a way that you have a dedicated page to manage the inventory, either at a global level, applicable to all channels, more 3PL or warehouse dedicated, even channel specific inventory. Hey, we've set 40 of these aside for Amazon. We've set 120 aside for Wayfair, and we've got this many set aside for our B2B channels. You start thinking of all these different ways that inventory can be presented or showcased to different groups, different channels for different reasons. And we do have settings behind the scenes where inventory will count down as orders come in. So if we're synchronizing your inventory up to your OrderEase account as your hub, and it's on an increment that we've set, we always recommend daily at a bare minimum. But we can run it twice a day. You can set your own schedule, maybe not every 2 minutes. But what we try to do is some reasonable schedule. When orders come in, we'll actually count down that inventory and present it to the channels. And then, like I said, based on your sync time, once a day, twice a day, every couple hours, it would look back at your source of truth and bring up what that number is. So realistically, we're really keeping those inventory numbers aligned as orders come in and you maintain, product goes out, you bring in a shipment, add it to your ERP, sync it back up. Everything is pretty aligned. I'd say, it's pretty good for the most part. And outside of that, we've also got catalogs. Now, like I said, this is again where you can create your different listings of product, or catalogs as we call them. You can have as many as you want. You think of, let's say you were doing an Ace direct catalog or a Home Hardware direct catalog. I'm going to use that just because it's a very common buying group that I'm very familiar with. Is that, maybe you're like, what, we want to personalize this. We want to make a catalog specifically for Home Hardware. I want Home Hardware's logo on the catalog. I want it to say Home Hardware wholesale offering from us as XYZ supplier. I want there to be a pop-up message every time Home Hardware buyer comes in that says, welcome to that particular Home Hardware store. And it can have the specifics for the Home Hardware account. It could have their terms and conditions. It could talk about minimums. It could say anything. And we can pick and choose what groups of buyers point to what catalogs. So if a Home Hardware logs in and you've got maybe 2 different programs or offerings for Home Hardware, That's all they're going to see. They don't know that there's a do it best. They don't know that there's another buying group. They don't know you have a general mom and pop independent wholesale offering. So when they come in, they feel like, hey, this supplier built this for us, for lack of better terminology. And that comes back also to the landing pages as well, which we'll maybe allude to in another office hours, where you can even build their initial login experience. What is their experience when they log in? You can have a home hardware banner. It could say the home hardware ordered as presented by Kyle's Tool Company, and all the verbiage, all the collateral, the products, the catalogs, the pricing, the images, the banners, it's all related to your relationship with home hardware or whoever it might be. And it gives them the thought that, hey, this supplier made this for us. It took you 10 minutes to put a landing page together, to put a catalog cover, to slap a banner with your logo and their logo on the experience, and a little bit of a verbiage to it. So you can really personalize this. But you think of restaurants and hotels, landscape and contractors and trade professionals versus maybe brick and mortar stores. You can really personalize this to that type of buyer. So we have two here. It just basically tells you what type of catalog it is, who it's visible to, like what customer groups. Is it all customers or just specific groups that you've created? Is it a wholesale catalog? Is it a dropship catalog? How many products are in it? And then as I go in to edit it, some simple verbiage and some simple ways to navigate. You can have a catalog cover. It could be just your general branding. It could be the actual physical print cover of your PDF that you have online with that they can flip through or download. It could be that exact cover. Or like I alluded to, you could put your logo and Home Hardware's logo on that cover. So when they click on their offering, they've got their cover with Home Hardware's branding and yours. Again, it's that personalized experience that you can build and takes you no time at all to build this. Start and end dates for the catalog, because maybe you're running a catalog that's trade show oriented. Hey, we put a catalog that runs from this date to this date for our Dallas market show for housewares and furniture and decor. This catalog will turn off automatically at the end of the show, and maybe it's only visible to sales reps at the show. There's an example of a catalog. So you can start thinking, just general list of product. We're running this catalog and list of product for a timed event specific to the trade show, because if any orders happen in that catalog and I send them to you, they're flagged as trade show orders. Your staff doesn't even have to click on the order to know, is that a regular order? Was that a trade show order from the Dallas market where all of our reps and executives are at this week? It just makes that line of sight so much clearer. You just decide the visibility. Is it a public catalog, which means we can give you a link to share with clients so they can explore and access your actual OrderEase experience. However, they will not see prices. They will not see inventory. It's just a way where you can share that general catalog with somebody that maybe is interested to do business with you, or maybe just wants a way just to poke around without logging in. It's because once they log in, that's when we know. Show them their history, show them their favorites list of the product, show them what pricing and what promotions and what inventory and warehousing and everything they should see. But if it's a public catalog as well, it just allows you to send them a link and they can go and look at it without giving away the entire farm. If it's not public, then again, you can decide, maybe it's behind a login. It's not something you want publicly accessible. If you have to log in to actually have access to this catalog. And with visibility to all customers, you can just say, yeah, it's a general offering. We give this list of product to all customers. The pricing might be different by customer. That's all enforced at the price level side, but it's just a general offering. All customers can access it. But if you say no, that's where you can go in and decide to say, well, what group of customers should see this? Again, we built a home hardware offering. I'm going to link it to my home hardware group of buyers. You can also say what reps should see this. Maybe you have a specific catalog for East and West Coast. You should say this catalog is particularly going to be shown just to East Coast buyers and just to East Coast sales reps, versus the West Coast, just West Coast buyers and West Coast sales reps, or certain reps. So again, high level of configurability on what the rep or buyer and what offering catalog should they be seeing. The appearance is just the descriptor. Other than saying it's the home hardware wholesale or a lawn and garden wholesale or Dallas trade show, you can put a little blurb just below the catalog, like here you see all products available from such and such. You can then decide with the check mark, do we show a pop-up message when they log in? You can decide. It's usually just like a nice welcome. It could just be, if you have questions, email helpful at xyzdistribution.com. If you've got product questions, shipping or invoicing questions, you can call us at 1-888 so-and-so. Maybe it just says, typical order minimum is $250. Typical lead time is 3 business days. But you can say whatever you want. And then apart from that, just some settings. Do we want to default it to the list view, which is more of a list when customers go into order, or tiles? Default delivery types. How do we display the families of product in this catalog versus at a global level? So a lot of it is just, suppressing the categories. Do we allow fractional quantities? Can they order 1.5 of product in this catalog? Suppress the inventory. Do we want to show them that there's 527 available, or just show them it's available? Things like that. And then other order submission appearances. So, these are some different fields that you can include on checkout. Basically, right at the end of when they're submitting an order, you can decide if it's enforced, if it's optional, and it's all the standard, typical things you'd see on an order. What's the PO? What's the shipping date? Do you want to offer them the ability to add in an alternate ship to address, a cancel by date, any freight terms, carrier account numbers, notes, and attachments? You can pick which ones are enforced, which ones are optional, and you can even build in custom fields. Is forklift required upon delivery? Yes or no? And you can make that an enforced mandatory field. So, hey, I don't care if you put a PO number on it, but what I do care about, when do you want it? And is a forklift required upon delivery? Everything else is optional. So you decide what that looks like. Products just tells you what products are assigned to this catalog. There is an all products flag. If you just say, hey, I want to put everything we offer in a single offering, all products, there we go. If you want to make it more granular and pick and choose what products go into this particular offering versus the next one, that's where you can come in, pick your products through either the batch updates, imports individually, and decide what products are in this particular list. And properties, again, some very granular controls. Is it a quoting catalog? So maybe there's no prices shown, orders are generated, and a quote and price will be given after the order is sent into you from the buyer. Is it view only? Hey, it's everything we offer, but there's no box to actually write in quantities or order. It's more educational based. It's a resource for reps of ours to come to get educated at the product level, but we don't offer ordering through that offering. Just shipping units and order submission requirements. Is there a minimum order value? Are we enforcing shipping units? Like, hey, we only offer this list. This is our palletized offering for fertilizer. You order in pallets, and you have to get 12 pallets or 24 pallets, half or full truckloads. There's no in between. You can enforce that here. Enforcing order weights, shipping costs. You can default into certain shipping costs onto an order if there's certain rules that we create, or freight costs that we need to do. Can we combine an order? Meaning, hey, we have 2 different lists of product. I will let buyers go from one list and start an order and move to the other list and build the other remainder of the order and submit it as a compiled order. This is where you can add in your custom fields. Is forklift required upon delivery? You can build in shipment windows. You can either do that at a group level or at a catalog level. Hey, with our everyday catalog, we just set a 3-day lead time. Order today, you can't pick anything before the next 3 days as your preferred shipment date when they check out. We can build in delivery days. Hey, in this group, they can only order or request shipments on Monday. This group of buyers is Tuesday. This group of buyers is Thursday, because maybe that's when your trucks locally in that region are going out. They can only pick those windows or those days in particular. And then just what happens when orders are placed from this catalog. When a customer submits an order, maybe it goes to the rep first. But if a rep places an order, that goes to head office right to the ERP. So you can build some rules at the catalog level as well. So simply put, the very last thing here is just your categories, as we're reaching a couple minutes from the hour. Just behind the scenes, this is very straightforward. It's all the different categories that we have related to products, or subcategories, because you can add a child category beneath them. So like I said, perennial is a floral category. Beneath it's all the Latin or common names of the perennials: annuals, tropicals, gloves, household gloves, kitchen gloves. You start thinking of that. This is just the behind the scenes. It's bilingual, and you can have as many or as few categories as you want, either set up in the ERP or implemented in OrderEase. So with that being said, that is more or less office hours number 3. A lot of content, definitely unpacked here today at the product level, but I really wanted to showcase just how powerful OrderEase can be for the very complex suppliers, but even for some of the more basic ones. You have all the tools that you'll need for today. Doesn't mean you have to implement or use every function and feature. It doesn't necessarily mean you're even paying for every function and feature. But this will support you for the long run, for where you are today and carry you along to where you'll be tomorrow, 6 months, or where you want to be 3 years from now. So I appreciate everybody joining us for Office Hours 3. If there's any questions, please feel free to throw them into the chat, and I'll get to as many as I can. And the wonderful Nurai and her team will also be sending this out, most likely the recording, and some means that if you do want to get in touch with me just to chat products, chat workflow, not a sales pitch, not a sales call, but just kind of a diagnostic, just to look at sort of where you're at today and maybe some recommendations I can give. I'm always happy to make some time for people. So again, appreciate everyone's time and thank you for joining me today.